Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to talk about temporal bone, and here at the side you can see the diagrammatic representation of the lateral view of temporal bone and medial view of or internal view of temporal bone. Let's start the topic with introduction. Temporal bones are pair of complex, irregularly shaped bones that are located on the sides and base of skull. Each temporal bone contributes to the cranial structure, housing essential components of auditory and vestibular systems. It plays a key role in protecting the brain, forming part of the jaw joint, and transmitting sound vibrations. Anatomical locations and articulations of temporal bone. Each temporal bone is situated inferior lateral to the parietal bone and articulates with the following bones, including parietal bone, as it articulates with the parietal bone superiorly. It articulates posteriorly with the occipital bone. It articulates anteriorly with the sphenoid bone. It articulates inferiorly with the mandible at the temporomandibular joint. And these articulations help form the lateral wall and base of skull. Parts of temporal bone. Temporal bone consists of five main parts, each with distinct anatomical and functional significance. These are squamous part, tympanic part, mastoid part, petrous part, and styloid process. Now let's talk about these one by one. First is squamous part of temporal bone, as you can see here in the diagram. This is the flat, thin portion that forms the lateral wall of the skull. It provides attachment for muscles such as temporalis muscle. It contributes to the temporomandibular joint by forming the mandibular fossa. Next part is tympanic part, as you can see here in diagram. It curves around the external acoustic meatus, that is ear canal. It is, you can see in diagram, the green color part is the tympanic part. It helps form the walls of the external ear canal. It supports the tympanic membrane, that is eardrum. Next part is mastoid part. As you can see in diagram, the orange color part is the petromastoid part. It has petrous part and mastoid part. The lower portion is mastoid part. Mastoid part is located posteriorly and contains mastoid ear cells that communicate with the middle ear. It serves as an attachment site for muscles like the sternocleidomastoid muscle. Mastoid process is prominent projection that can be palpated behind the ear. Next part is petrous part, that is behind the mastoid part of the temporal bone. It is hardest and densest portion of temporal bone that is located at the base of skull. It houses the cochlea and vestibular apparatus, that is organs of hearing and balance. It contains the internal acoustic meatus which transmit cranial nerve number 7, that is facial nerve, and cranial nerve number 8, that is vestibulocochlear nerve. Next is styloid process. As you can see in diagram, the blue color part is of the temporal bone is the styloid process. It is a slender projected pointed projection located below the ear. It serves as an attachment site for muscles and ligaments of tongue and pharynx. It is associated with stylohyoid ligament. Now let's talk about foramina and canal of temporal bone. Seven important foramina and canal pass through the temporal bone. For example, external acoustic meatus. As you can see here in the diagram, the opening in the green area is the external acoustic meatus. It is the sound transmission to the middle ear. And next is internal acoustic meter. It is the passage for the facial and vestibulocochlear nerve. Third opening is carotid canal. It is a passage for the internal carotid artery into the skull. Next opening of temporal bone is jugular foramen that is formed between the temporal and occipital bone. It transmits the internal jugular vein and cranial nerve number 9, 10, and 11. Next opening is stylomastoid foramen that is the exit point for the facial nerve. Now let's talk about functions of temporal bone. First is protection, as it encloses and protects the delicate structures of the middle and inner ear. Second is support and structure, as it contributes to the base and sides of skull. Third is hearing and balance, as it contains the auditory ossicles and labyrinthine structures like cochlea and semicircular canal. Next is muscle attachment, as it provides attachment for head and neck muscle. Next function is articulation, as it forms the temporomandibular joint with the mandible. Now let's talk about ossification and development of temporal bone. Temporal bone develops from both membranous and cartilaginous ossification. Squamous and tympanic part ossify from membranous tissue, while the petrous and mastoid part develop through endochondral ossification. Ossification begins in the fetal stage and continues into the early childhood. Clinical significance of temporal bone. First is temporal bone fracture. It can result from head trauma and may affect hearing, facial movement, or balance depending on the fracture location. Second is otitis media, as infection of the middle ear may spread to the mastoid ear cell, leading to mastoiditis. Third significance is Bell's palsy. As damage to the facial nerve as it passes through the stylomastoid foramen may cause facial muscle paralysis. Fourth is cholesteatoma, that is abnormal skin growth in the middle ear that can erode parts of temporal bone. Now let's talk about conclusion of this lecture video. Temporal bone is one of the most intricate and functionally important bones in the human skull. It contributes to the protection of the brain, hearing and balance, jaw articulation, and muscle attachment. Its complex structure makes it vital for both clinical and anatomical studies. Understanding the temporal bone is essential in fields such as medicine, audiology, and craniofacial surgery. And this was all about temporal bone. Hopefully you like the video. If you do, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment. Thank you for watching.